517 to scanner control. 517 to scanner control.
Hey, this is the Star Wars Squadrons podcast. This is the season 2 finale. It's been just over 1 year since the game came out. Hyped to be back here and really excited to have, I feel like, the most fitting team to have on here at the end of the season, at the 1 year mark of it. I feel like the team who has cemented themselves at the top of Star Wars Squadrons, CA Gold. I'm happy to have a bunch of the squad on here today. So why don't we start, Knight? Why don't you say hello first, since we got you on Facecam?
Yeah, hey guys, thanks very much for having me. It's we're riding a high obviously since the win, and we're more than happy to have a chat with it about you, Time Bomb. Sounds good.
Glad to have you back on here, Knight. And congratulations to you and all of CA Gold here. We've also got who else we got here on the list? We've got Jashikwa as well. Why don't you say hello?
Hello.
And you're under
here to talk about things.
You're as Pancake Blaster on there. And we've got Aham as well. Well, I always refer to as Ham. I hope that's okay. Why don't you say hello, Ham?
Am you there?
Ham.
Shy.
My
My mic wasn't working there, sorry. Hello. Yes, it is okay. You call me Ham.
Good to see you as well. And then we got Ralph. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Great to have everybody on another Squadcast episode. Yeah, first of all, congratulations to all you guys. I mean, for me, like, coming in, you guys, I felt were on the top there, right? Like, I really thought you guys had, the best chance to win. You guys have been playing so strong. It felt like every player that you kind of added to your roster in the second half has just helped you guys get to the next level. But my first thought is, I gotta ask, when you met with randos in that game, in that series, what was your thinking? How did that change anything when you guys lost that series? That's what I was most curious about, and that's why I'm opening up with it, to put you on the spot, I guess.
I mean, for me, it was always going to be close.
Mm-hmm.
Like the randos and us have always traded blows here and there, and traditionally it's always been the higher seed that has won the game. So I was just ready for that to happen.
So that first matchup then. It came down to the coin flip for who had higher seed in that one. Then in the winners meeting,
it did. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It did indeed.
And then who?
Yeah.
I can't remember who won it then in that case in the first matchup.
They won it.
They won it.
We won.
Oh,
No, first game. We won. They won the first match, but we won.
We're talking about seed.
Yeah,
they had seed.
They had seed. So
They had high seed and they won first match.
So then, did they pick Empire first
Or
game?
no?
No.
Yeah.
We won first game.
What?
Yeah,
Ralph.
we won.
No.
Hold on.
Ralph,
got
talking
it on
about
the
who had
But
high
we
seed.
were as in our. We won it
No.
as in our because they were high seed.
He asked about who won the match. They won the match.
Mm-hmm. So I'm talking about
Right?
the game one.
We're very
He's
coordinated.
talking, he's
I
talking
get
about
it.
game one.
I was talking about game one. I feel like I kind of threw you guys
We
off
won
here.
game one.
Yes. Of the
You
winners
guys are
final, we
wrong.
won game one as in our because we lost back
That's
picked
right.
to randos because they won coin flip.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I was asking. So that's what I thought. So this is kind of leading into my next question then, because there has been some debate for people too about what faction is superior. Do you guys think generally it is, a faction per map, or do you think maybe one faction is better? How do you guys feel about that?
It was a
Surprising.
weird week going into that.
Mm-hmm.
We scrimmed Tempest, Savrip, and Baywatch like a total of 40 matches, and we won 2 NR games in all of it. So we expected barely any NR wins at all. And then I think there were more NR wins in the end than Empire.
I think
Which
It
is
was
funny.
very
Yeah.
strange.
that is
It's really
funny.
unusual because there's an element always of tournament tournament-esque performance, because you don't perform your best, I believe, until you're really forced to focus on the situation.
Mhm.
And a lot of the scrims that we had, we were experimenting with stuff and this and that and whatever, and we tried our best. But there's always that extra kind of element. So as you step into a tournament, all of a sudden everyone focuses, everyone just goes straight in and hyper focuses on the situation. And I feel like that is what helped us play some some really good NR matches. The thing with NR is that you have to be perfect to win against a really good team like the Randos. You have to be perfect, and you have to play a perfect game.
That's what it seems like. So the one thing too I'm noticing as well, you guys had the 3 bomber strategy that a couple teams kind of went in with something, but you guys had been sticking with that for a while. When did that start? What's your guys thinking behind that strategy, if you want to talk about it at all?
It started in the scrims we ran versus the teams we played before the tournament, and we found that with 3 TIE bombers, it was a lot easier to sort of make progress, a lot easier to get heavy damage down, and despite the fact that we had less ions on the field, it actually made it that little bit more simple just to make progress on your attack phases. And then of course on defense you've got 3 farm, so we found that Raider burn was quicker, we found that farm was quicker. The thing that changes though is the pressure on the other 2 players, the singular players, if you like, the support and the flex.
Right.
They must perform at 100% for the strategy to work. So you saw in the games versus the initial games of the winners bracket versus the Randalorians that I was a bit of a feeder, and I allowed them to kill me, a few times more than I would have liked, because you go through so many tournament games and you don't expect pressure on you as a flex. It doesn't usually happen because most people hyper focus on objective and whatnot. So it took me by surprise for sure, but I started to adjust my play style after that point, and for the final set that we played against them, they were. Baywatch also put pressure on me because of that, and
it seemed like I was picking up on it too. Like in the Rando series for sure. You could I had the luxury of being in the spectator too, so I could just go I would click on Jester. First thing he's doing, he's just cycling for Knight and just going right for him, right? Like that was clearly their strategy on it to try to take you out. So it was interesting to do. Did it make you guys think at all about changing from that strategy?
We did, didn't we, Jish? I'll let you talk about this one because we did a little bit of testing with you, didn't we?
NR?
Well, on our Empire game, we did a bit of testing with you, didn't we? To see if you could run flex.
Oh, well, we just did some custom in the TIE Fighter, but that was the only difference.
We wanted to see whether, because TIE Fighter being a bit more survivable, tanky TIE and all that kind of stuff, me and Ralph, we are significantly less proficient in PvP in a TIE Fighter, whereas Jish has been running TIE Fighter naturally for a while. So we were like, should we bring Jish in and run TIE Fighter instead, and maybe he'll feed less than I did and all this kind of stuff. So we did a little bit of experimenting around, and we kind of
decided to have Knight get good and stop dying.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Oh, that was fun to say tonight. You're like, just get good, Knight.
Yeah, Belligerent basically said that. If you're dying in a defender, you're doing something wrong.
Exactly.
No, he said if you're getting dunked in a defender, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
He was just outright and cold with it.
Yeah. He asked me, hey, Ralph, you want to go in this game? I said, no, you go.
That's
good. I don't want to be responsible.
That's interesting too, because you guys did. I feel like you were running the same lineup, and then I think you did make a few more subs in the losers bracket games. Like you had different people coming in and out. Am I mistaken there? There was a few more changes at least at that point.
Yeah, we have 4 OBJ guys, so that we run the triple and then we'll rotate someone else in. There's no massive thinking behind that. There's no massive changes in terms of the subs. Everyone performs as well as each other, in my opinion. So
and
it was just to let everyone play.
Nothing. I know he's not here right now, but I want to say, Horror was running standard slam on his TIE bomber too, right? What do you guys think about that? What are the thoughts there? Is there internal mockery of him
Flame
for
engine
it? Or what?
Flame engine is best, and standard lasers aren't much less than rotary.
Yeah. Well,
when you have 3 bombers, you're not really losing any
let the
damage.
Horror be the Horror.
Yeah.
That's my point there. Like if the Horror is doing it, he's been doing it for 1,200 levels, and it's just whatever.
I just loved
initially when
because I love standard slam, so seeing Horror there, someone representing it at the top, I loved it. I loved seeing him in it, so that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Sorry,
it's something he's always run. It's alright. It's always something he's run in solo queue, and he's brought it in. And initially, I was like, you could be doing better with rotary and stuff. And I keep forgetting that it's the Horror, and the Horror does what the Horror does. So
honestly, the places where I think it sucks is that it takes the takeaway from the standard for like me, not the horror player, is it takes slightly longer on a shield gen. Like if you just want to sit there, it takes 2 seconds versus 3 seconds, which is a second where you get dunked or whatever or hit, right? And then it's a little annoying to take out shields that way. It takes you like 45 seconds basically with standard lasers to do it alone. So that just
on the converse point. AI farm is a little bit easier. You know, you can shoot instantly versus having to wind up. I know you can just keep it, really, almost going on the wind up, so you can do it instantly as well. But you get the maneuverability penalty with that, and it just makes it a little bit easier to evade and a little bit easier to farm. Yeah, so there's benefits and drawbacks.
I think for sure. And sorry, I don't want to sidetrack. But another thing too, I want to talk about with Ham, because all year you've been one of those top evasive support players, so hard to kill. In the last little while, PK has gotten better. Have you felt like more pressure in the last while? Has it changed your play? What are your thoughts there, Ham?
Oh, definitely. In our scrims, I got hammered. I was feeding hard. I was like 4 deaths a game. It was bad. And when we went into this tournament, I went in with the mindset that I had to use the map to not be bad. Like I love the maps like Nadiri because there's Rebel right near the cruisers. I love the map Sasubo because there was a Rebel right near the cruisers, and I could just circle around, and when my team needed me, just pop out. It's all good. And just like having that sixth sense of where people are, and it just all clicked.
That's awesome. Do you find a difference between the Reaper and the U-Wing in your success?
The U-Wing was much harder. Or sorry, the Reaper.
Right.
Because
you almost threw me for a second there.
Pancake blaster right there, yeah. In the U-Wing, you can do nice long dead drifts, get those shields down, and it does help on the NR side because you have to be more perfect. You have to have all those ions on target and get those shields down as fast as possible so the Raider can burn it. I mean, there's drawbacks. Like, you have better ships on Empire side to do damage, but you also have a worse survivable support ship. Yeah. So you have to sort of lean on their survivability rather than your resupplies in the moment there.
We've seen, and just like you're saying, we've seen kind of supports go from being like the Reapers now because they've become, as PK has improved, they're getting more killable, so you're kind of playing in and out too. Even like the top level supports, whereas like, there was a bit there where like all supports, both factions, just staying in. But yeah, it's interesting the way that's kind of shifted. You have to be more strategic with it, and that's cool to see, I think, as well, that there's more map awareness stuff going on too there.
Yep, definitely.
So the other thing too about just generally your guys' NR game that I noticed is the X-Wings. You guys never had conch. You guys were always carrying torps, right? Like, so what's your thinking behind those loadouts?
Yeah, so initially we thought, run 1 X-Wing with conchs, run 1 with proton torpedoes. It's sort of best of both worlds, right? The conchs, the conchs have their place in PvP. Good players can dodge conchs, but no one can dodge a conch when they're disabled. So we found that when we were looking in the past at killing TIE bombers in the opening phase, conchs were definitely a big help with that. But our objective actually changed. So we started to shy away from actually trying to get kills in terms of bombers in the opening phase, and started trying to limit their farm instead. We found that was the much more valuable thing because a pack is 15 AI, right? A kill is -10 in terms of their morale. So we found if they can't get the pack, it saves 15 versus 10. Which helps out a bit more. So we decided to progress our offensive phases further. We needed the 2 proton torpedoes on both X-Wings, focus all the damage on that, and the Golos on the Y-Wings, the multi-logs, all that kind of stuff. But in the opener, we would run 2 X-Wings and split them. So both X-Wings would pick a TIE bomber each, put pressure, stop the farm if possible, because some players just go, "Ha! I'm a TIE bomber. Fuck you. I'm going to ignore you." But a lot of teams, we found that when we did apply that pressure, even if there was only one of us, it would delay the farm enough for us to get a farm advantage, and for us then to kill the Raider. On most maps, we didn't do it every map, but sometimes we got the advantage all the way to the point where we flipped the phase onto our attack.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting to see. I had heard a few teams like I think Hobbs had been doing some like I don't know watching or something, and he kind of said that too, that teams were splitting PK off their bombers. I think it was more on the Empire side because it's easier to kill a Y-wing solo. So that was the idea I think he was pitching. But this idea of just, you know, you don't need to kill the bomber if you're slowing him down, like you're saying. And if you're both doing that, and then you've got your farmers doing work, then it's just going to kind of balance it out too. Yeah.
That was our problem. Like the fact that we couldn't kill TIE bombers as easily as defenders can kill Y-wings. That was our whole issue with winning dogfights.
Right.
And that's why, you know, in these scrims we lost almost every single dogfight phase in the beginning, and we had to change something. Like we came up with a strategy with 3 Y-wings where we would try and make the most of losing the dogfight. But then we kind of stopped and thought, you know, why are we trying to come up with a strategy where we take the most advantage of losing, where we could just win? Instead, you know, try and find a winning strategy, so we can almost guarantee an attack phase. It didn't work every time because people like Fenkar, for example, you know how Fenkar farms. You know, I would shoot him and he would just go, "No, I'm just ignoring you. I'm just going to continue to farm."
Yeah. It was interesting. Both Rando and Baywatch would use a different morale. I don't know, like the way they would kill the frigates, where they would push through one to set up the other. You know what I mean? They would do some different things that maybe we haven't seen as much in competitive play. How did you guys react in game? Were you reacting in game? Were you prepared for that? What was your thinking going in for those strategies with morale?
Anyone else want to get in on this one? Well, the thinking behind it was, when we first had it happen to us, it was a surprise because, as most people expect, you know, people usually try and set up for the double ladder phase, but on certain maps, it's not necessarily the best thing to do. If you take Nadiri, for example, you know, the farm is slow. Once they've destroyed the raider, they're only really going to get, you know, meaningful flips through kills, and that little bit of creep that comes in through the onesie twosies they get in AI farm. So the better thing to do when you have an advantage is just push straight through the cruiser, destroy it, and that buys you a hell of a lot more time on a map like Nadiri to attack than it does on a maps like Yavin, for example, where, you know, Yavin, if you double out a phase, you can flip 10 seconds later with a couple more packs in the raider, you know. But on Nadiri, you just can't. So it was good to see teams bringing in that kind of different approach to phasing. So where a team does it to you, you've got to do it to them, otherwise you'll lose too much progress and you just won't win. So the first time we came across that was a strategy that we had. You know, if they do it to us, we'll do it to them. And then we started adopting it on these hard to farm maps, to say, right, just go straight through, take the most advantage of the time that we have, and just do as much as possible.
Oh, interesting. At what point did you start adapting it? Like mid tournament, you started to be like, for like when after you play them in the losers?
After Baywatch and Randos did it to us, we decided to start doing it because there's no downside really to doing it.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Unless Knight kills the other one.
Well, yeah, if some people decide to kill both cruisers in base, barely.
The last game, the very last game, I don't know if you recall, like we did an out of phase the cruiser.
Oh my
on
goodness.
Esselis, I made the mistake. I launched a torp at the cruiser, the last one that was alive, and I accidentally destroyed the second cruiser, and then they immediately afterwards destroyed the corvette, so that we had like one AI to flip, so we didn't even have time to get to the ISD to do a shield gen run. So that was an honest mistake on my part, and you know, as a team, we're very lucky to have come back from that in that final match.
I mean, I think Esselis as NR is the best farm in the game. That's my thought.
Tsusuba's better.
So, you know what? I'm with you. I'll take that. You know what? I think Tsusuba was second, but I love it. I love Tsusuba too. Yes.
You don't have to travel at all. Whereas for NR, you have to travel a lot.
Right. You have to go left side, right side, middle, or however you order it anyway, basically. But yeah, you're going across. So
it worked out because they left me after we killed both cruisers. I just stayed on their side of the map, and no one cared about me. So I just killed the AIs they spawn. So the map size didn't matter at all.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's something too. I kind of want to like. I almost want to. I feel like something I've kind of talked about with some people that I prefer, and I have heard people say differently about it. I prefer the NR to farm on. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, the packs are simple. Because a Golo to the center of the X-wing formation doesn't kill all 5, whereas a Golo to any one of the 5 for TIE fighters that kills all of them.
Yeah, so there is. It's funny that way, you know. For all the advantages that people say that the Empire has, there's a lot of good that the NR. We're talking about the U-wing. We're talking about the farms better. You can out of phase the ISD a little bit easier. I feel like there's a lot there. I got the numbers actually too. Sheriff went through and figured it out, and it was like, did you say that 37% for NR, 60 whatever, 2 point whatever for Empire wins. That seems good to me. Sorry, go ahead.
But the thing is that why wings die? That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. That's true.
They die a lot easier.
They do.
But I do wonder. I do look at a lot of these, aspects of NR versus Empire, and there's little things, little weaknesses here and there, like the support on Empire being easier to kill and the farm being easier on NR. And I do think, was this all some sort of big brain plot from the very beginning to balance out the two factions? I do
also,
wonder whether any of this was
cruiser and
intentional.
flagship damage.
Yeah.
The Nebula
the targeting
actually will melt you, whereas the Empire cruisers are pointless. They'll do literally nothing to you sitting on top of them out of phase.
Yeah,
But the Nebulons will one-shot you in the middle of the map for no reason.
For some reason, the targeting...
And at the top level... Sorry.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. On the top, what were you going to say?
At the top level, we were trading blows in that last matchup. That last matchup, it came down to mistakes. Like, we could tell when we were doing bad because we knew that we made mistakes. And, like, we sometimes knew that we couldn't catch up. We would still try. It would be really close, but, like, both teams, if they're doing their top level, it's gonna be right there close. And we saw that a lot.
I would like to believe that it's not so decided about the opening. Like, some people are like, if you lose the opening, you can't win. Which, I mean, that's what I loved about that win for you guys, because I'm pretty sure you lost the opening. You were NR. It's just like you were down games, everything against you guys, and you still came back.
If the other team doesn't make a mistake after the opening, you'll lose. They have to make some mistake to equal out the opener.
Yep. And then
the randos did make a mistake in that final game.
Yeah, on our second defense, Knight was on Brandon tying him up, and Jester was on Ralph by where their cruiser spawned.
Yeah, because
instead of on the cruisers.
When they were supposed to go for MC, I saw Nop going back because I figured he didn't have resupplies. So I started PKing him, and Jester came to defend him. I don't know if Submo was helping Jester. I'm not sure.
He was.
Yeah, I think they were working together.
So they only had like 2 bombers on MC, probably with no ordnance, and the other 3 guys, 2 trying to kill me, and I'm trying to get Nop. It's like, okay, now our team is gonna farm, and that's it. That's a huge mistake.
They did. I did see them get over to that a few bit. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So the other thing that... Sorry, Ralph.
Sorry, like, in my opinion, at that point, their PKs just let Nop die and attack the MC.
Yeah, the thing that I noticed from my perspective, it wasn't necessarily caught on the cast of the final match, was that second attack phase. As Ralph said, he was attacking Nop. He killed Nop, and Jester and Submo continued to PK Ralph instead of going on to the objective. The fact that Nop was dead.
Did we kill him? I don't remember if we.
You killed Nop. You did. Yeah.
No, I killed him on the Deary game. I don't feel like I killed him.
You sure?
Not sure. I'm not sure.
He died. Either way.
Yeah, I think
I remember it in the cast.
Yeah. And that the fact that he died and the fact that Ralph was tying up Jester and Submo allowed me to pressure their bombers, which is a strategy change that we don't usually do. I would usually be on the radar hard at that point. But I heard what was going on, and I decided to try and take advantage of the fact that the PKs weren't there and Nop wasn't there. So I put pressure on Brandon, I think it was. Brandon, I managed to get him low enough so he had to leave and track all the way back to get a resupply from Nop. And that left only Vixier in. And I've spoken to Submo. Apparently Vixier was also having trouble with his power management or something like that, he said before the game. But yeah, Vixier was alone on that cruiser. And that's why the delay between getting the cruiser down and when they could have got it down allowed us to get enough farm and to get the raider low enough to flip before they managed to get the MC low enough at the end of the phase to phase it. So I decided to stay back and defend. I think the MC was at like 35, 40 or something like that, which is very difficult, compared to the ISD.
What is your guys comfort level with phasing the MC? Where are you guys trying to get? Where's your go back and defend versus go for it level?
On the position they were, like, we would phase the same as they did because there was no other option.
Yeah, it's kind of game on the line then.
Defenses just don't work because even if it's at 50 or like 40, which is a hard out of phase, the other team has a full ISD to attack, and you're only going to stop them with your ISD at maybe 40 or 30, and they're going to kill it before you get it across the map to theirs.
The thing
So
with
you
the
have to
MC,
try the long phase race.
yeah. The thing with the MC is that you have to engine park the same as you do with the ISD, but there's a lot less to shoot on the MC in terms of there's the same number of hull sections back there. There's 4 on the engines, 4 or 5, and you can shoot it, but it's a very small target, and you have to constantly strafe left and right at the back to avoid getting shot by the cannons on top and bottom.
And you have to strip the turrets generally.
Yeah. Without turret stripped, it's almost a GG.
Of course, not too, because it's smaller. Whereas the IC is like longer and kind of blocks a lot of it in the length. I feel like you're more exposed to more of those turrets on the MC. I don't know, maybe that's
you are.
Yeah, so maybe they get you.
Much bigger blind spot on the ISD.
Yeah, I mean, if you run torps, you can attack the MC from any angle, and you'll probably be fine as long as you don't get too close. But the fact is with out of phasing with torps is that if they leave someone to defend, if the MC is at 30 or 40% or whatever, someone can just shoot down those torps, and you can't do that with lasers. You can't get the amount of damage you need to from 40% to out of phase before the other guys kill your ISD. So what the randos did, I noticed, was they stopped running torps on their out of phasing. They started running bombers with Goliath and Multilock, and also concussion defenders and cluster defenders as well. So it was a very big brain play from them. They noticed in our Fostar game against them, we stopped them out of phasing by shooting their torps. So they adapted, and that's what the randos are best at. They're really good at that.
That's interesting too, because like both randos and Baywatch coming out of the same camp, and they pushed such like strong tournaments there. What did you notice playing Baywatch in those? I mean, they also had a really strong second round against you guys in the losers when they were playing to get into the final there. Like they were pushing you guys against the wall in that one too. How did you guys find that series?
Yeah, they brought it. They really did.
Unfortunate low seed going into the tournament.
Yeah, and that
they would have been final with high seed, but otherwise you have to win in our games since you're low seed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they didn't get the chance to get their major invite, get that high seed advantage against some teams, because they would have had an easier time, I think, had they had that.
Was that all Empire wins in that one when it was you guys versus Baywatch?
It was.
It was. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes.
So different that, you know what I mean? In that series, for whatever reason, neither team could win as NR, and then, versus Randos, it was kind of going a little differently, where your NR game was strong. What do you get?
It's funny because loads of different there's different strategies out there, despite the meta being called stale and all this kind of stuff. There are slightly different nuances that teams bring to the field, and those little things make a big difference against certain teams and not against others. So heavy PK will work really well against one team. It won't work against another because they're too survivable. So it really is just a fact of trying to play your strategy as perfect as possible and trying to look at what happens in your games and just adapt to them. And Baywatch and Randos do that amazingly well.
One thing I noticed about Baywatch's loadout that was a little different than other people's is their support would run standard lasers on the New Republic side, and then he would get a lot of finishes that way. I found that kind of interesting. Like, I think because that was the way, so they'd have like ion missile, ion torp, ion missile, pro torp.
They also brought out the tractor beam against us in our first match.
That's right, they did.
And I was like, I didn't know Nar was on this team. Jesus Christ! Like...
An old strategy still checks out apparently. I was a little. I thought teams might have a few more wild strategies for it. Savrip, give them credit for the 4 Y-wings for sure. And I mean, you guys were doing the three bombers. But other than that, nothing too crazy, nothing too out of the ordinary, I think, from any team.
Yeah, we had a 3 Y-wing, but you don't get the pressure and Raiders shields because it does stupid damage, probably more than our bombers did, or even with it. But
at one point we were running 4 proton torps, weren't we, Jay?
Yeah, 3 Y-wings with proton torp MLM, and
they carry like 5 or 6, right? The Y-wing with it?
Yeah, they carry 5.
Oh, the damage was stupid. We just couldn't do anything else.
Well, the shield, I mean, we messed around too with it, and just like, I mean, we were having problems dropping shields with it. It's like, I mean, then you kind of have to carry an ion torp X-wing or something to drop shields. But then, then no, I don't know. It's a whole thing there.
Has so many proton torps, you can burn proton torps and multi-lock to hit shields.
That makes sense. I honestly just the other day someone's like, you can use your multi-lock on shields. I was like, you. Not that I didn't know you could. I didn't think you were allowed to, or you were supposed to. I didn't realize that was like authorized to do that. It was
yeah,
like, I was just like, wait.
Yeah, I was watching some of our VODs back when we lost against Randos in the winners thing. I watched them back, and I think it was 60 or someone who just went up right in, hugged the shield a little bit, shot off all of his multi-lock straight into the shield, and the shield was down in like less than 10 seconds after the phase flipped to their side. So I was like, oh, okay. So that's how they're doing it.
Yeah,
they just don't care.
They also would do some deeper out of phases too. I think at times. I think I'm mistaken. What do you guys feel about for frigate out of phasing? What is your safety level? What's the most you're going to push it? Does it matter if all the turrets or strips? What you're thinking there?
Turrets can't be there.
The time. Well, yeah, turrets make it harder depending on the faction.
Okay,
the risk goes up a lot if the turrets
Inar can do it, but yeah, it's harder. As long as top are stripped on the Empire cruisers, you can add a phase it. And you can do it from any percent that you want, but it's just time.
Yeah, there's a benefit versus drawback with that. You know, you don't want to stay there.
Kill it in 10
it
seconds.
Depends. It depends on the.
It's too long.
Yeah, if it's like 30 HP, we might all commit to auto phase one cruiser.
Yeah,
like all the team.
It also depends on how much progress the other team has made. You know, if out of phasing it will give them such a short attack phase on your MC, for example, then it's worth doing. But that rate, if you start to out of phase it with your 2 PKs, the raider is still going to be there 100% full health. So, you know that there's a certain time window you have to do it, and that's all a judgment call at the time, depending on what the situation is. You can't leave that raider alive. You know, especially on MC defense. It's you know that gives you so much morale that you definitely need that.
Yeah, I mean, raider management has been an issue for our team too at times. So we've kind of gotten better at it. But yeah, killing it at the right time and just like the way you're allocating resources, I found that interesting too because you had like the 3 bombers, and so sometimes you would have like 1 bomber farming, 1 burning the raider, 1 kind of helping out with PK. Am I mistaken, or is it just depending on the situation there? Like, how are you
generally
guys?
2 farmers and 1 helps burn raider.
Yeah, the bomber's almost never PK because in a defender you can annihilate most targets pretty easily. It's not too much of it.
If I see a low health person fly past, then but generally no.
So when you guys are doing your map and faction selections, was there, when you have a certain map, is it a must to have a certain faction? Are you really pushing one? Was there any that did any work out that way that was ideal in the final?
Yeah, tactically, are you talking about our general sort of map?
Like you got NR on Esselis for the last game. Were you happy about that? Or I'm actually more curious at the start. Like your first pick, what's your first ban against randos? Like what were you thinking there? Or maybe you guys didn't have they had the ban.
There was no bans in this particular tournament,
that's right.
But in our first pick as such, if we had low seed, would always be Sasubo.
It was Galatan the last one because we won NR on that. Because
either Galatan
Empire opening sucks on Galatan with those AI.
Mm-hmm.
But Sasubo and Galatan are our best in our maps. So when we have to get the win on that, we need best chance possible.
Yeah, with it, we need to maximize how much chance we have of getting a quick first NR win, and either Sasubo or Galatan allows us to do that because they're quite balanced maps as such in terms of AI farm and things like that. NR generally needs a little bit of a longer attack to get the same advantage that Empire does as such.
A lot of teams banned us on Yavin, right? Because they thought that Yavin was our strongest in our map.
I mean, I especially because you guys were using the 3 bombers, that makes sense. Like, I would want to keep you guys off Yavin because right away, if you're Empire, I guess if you're Empire, you've got that advantage because it's just 3 bombers to 2 bombers. You're gonna farm faster, likely, right? Like even that, you can only stop 2. I mean, likely they're only gonna stop 2 of the dumbfires. Maybe support. You know what I mean? It's just a lot to. It really does throw teams off. So I could see. I'd ban Yavin against you guys too. I see where they're coming from for sure.
I mean, another advantage to picking Sasubo and Galatan, for example, as NR is Y-wing survivability. There's debris everywhere, and if if you have Y-Wings, out there in the open like you do on Yavin or like you do on Esselis or other maps like that, in theory, you have a little bit more of a disadvantage because the defenders can come in, or whatever ship they're flying could just come in and annihilate the Y-Wing pretty easily, whereas Y-Wings can use anyone, to be honest, can use debris to their advantage, but Y-Wings need that advantage to help stay alive. So it does help for sure.
Yeah, I was kind of find too on. Well, if I'm on Galaxian, for instance, I'm in Empire, and I like take collision damage, and I'm in like a bomber or something. Like I don't have that shield as I do in the Y-Wing to kind of help me out. So I find that a little tougher. It's nice to have that. You can always go around a rock to recharge your shields on the Empire or the New Republic side. So I don't know. I see the advantage there for sure. Man, it's pretty exciting too to hear now that with the Federation all joining together. I heard that you guys have a team together as well in the 3PO now. Is this true?
We're not flying together in the 3PO.
Okay.
I think a few of us joined the server at the same time, which caused people to assume, like me, Eligen, and Horror, roped into the server at the same time. But Jish is on a separate team. I'm on a separate team. And yeah, so Gold as it is retired. We're more than happy to play together sometimes in tournaments where it's the pressure's off and we just want to have fun. We may come together again for that.
Oh, what about SCL then and stuff?
Well, SCL is another sweat fest. So
yeah, so that one for sure.
Yeah, so
because that was SCL right now. Let's actually take a look at. I believe you guys are at the top right now with randos. I haven't looked in a bit, right?
We have already retired from the SCL.
Oh, you guys are done SCL too. Okay, my bad.
Yeah,
my mistake. I'm just getting the update
Yeah.
now on that one, I guess, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, all the teams that would have played us in the SCL now have automatic wins, so they'll go forward and use that the best they can.
That's all. Well, hey, you guys have played so much Squadrons in the last little bit. Like, I mean, especially like I feel like there was a while there too. It was tough for you guys to really get. In the normal time you played, there wasn't as many teams playing there, so you weren't getting the competition. So I guess that's why you kind of set up those scrims too to get ready, like you're talking about playing those 40 games.
Yeah, it was difficult because we couldn't really scrim the people that are on our side of the bracket because we could play any of them. So our scrim buddies were Tempest and Splavrip for the last the whole week and a half before the tournament, and we just absolutely smashed it out with them. And we went from an NR game where we had no idea what to do to formulating some sort of strategy towards the end of it. So it really helped us, and thank you to them 100% for helping us out with that.
So how do you guys feel about like Squadrons as a whole? You're playing 3PO. What are you guys? Are you guys still gonna play? Like, are you just gonna play casually? What's your thinking? Let's go through everyone. Ham.
I'm a bit busy right now with school. I always was, but I was managing it with Squadrons. But I've been looking into getting into Star Citizen. The concept of the game really intrigues me, and I think I'd have a really good time if my hardware was up to the task. But so far, it's dicey.
Yeah, that game's been. It's another one of the flight sims. I think it has like a PvP element, but also like a like a resource mining element. Is it both? Right? I don't know that game.
It's a whole nother situation. You could go on and talking about it for a really long time. At its core, it's branded as a flight sim for a space flight sim. That's at its core, but in reality, what they're doing is creating a whole universe within a MMO. So it's really ambitious. They're not done with it yet, but it seems like a whole lot of fun.
We need to go find Avenger 1, don't we? And
that's his thing now. I'm sure he'd be probably down to play. I mean, when I talked to him about it, he's like, come play. He's open to it for sure.
Yeah.
What about for you, Jashiko? What are you thinking, for Squadrons moving forward and everything?
Doing 3PO League, at least for one season. I'll see after that. And yeah, I'll play in Gravy Nights and just like casually.
Yeah.
But competitive 5v5 isn't it.
Well, I mean, I understand. I mean, the Cal Cup was a grind, and you guys made your way through it, got to the top there, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
Ralph, what about for you? What are you saying?
I'll be playing casually the game.
Mm-hmm.
Do whatever, have fun. Solo queue, whatever.
So yeah, I mean, the whole thing too is like, I mean, I see it in CA. You guys have Halo Nights. You guys have like built as much of a community around, like, you know, the squad playing games, playing Squadrons, but also playing games outside of Squadrons. Is that, you guys, it seems that way to me from the outside looking in. Is that what it is there? What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I mean, we're all, you know, at the end of the day, apart from being a competitive Squadrons team, you know, we're all friends here, and we're more than happy to continue on as a group and play games with each other. You know, I mean, for me personally, I had a little joke with Rebel Pilot, you know, on Saturday. Rebel Pilot was like, "Nah, fuck, you're not leaving Squadrons. You're going to be back," you know. And I said, "Yeah, I'll see you on Monday." And then lo and behold, yeah, I was back on Monday playing Q. But for me, Squadrons is, you know, I love the game, and I don't want to sweat in the game anymore. I'm echoing what Ralph is saying here. I just want to play casually, and I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
So you won't see me in anything, you know, anything ultra uber mega sweaty. You know, I've joined a team with Valiant and Jackson in 3PO because we just love to meme around and have fun and just kill people. So that's what we're gonna do. You know, just enjoy the game.
Have fun in a video game. It's weird.
I know, right? Imagine that.
See, let me know how that worked. No, that's awesome. No, that's how I mean, to me, that's like the best part about Squadrons. Kind of, we got the competitive community is pretty much what this is all around, but it's a pretty chill comp scene compared to a lot of other games. I don't know if you guys feel that way at all. Have you played other comp games? Noticed the difference, I guess.
For me personally, yeah. I mean, the bigger games are such like COD, for example. I used to play. I didn't play competitively, but you know, that had millions and millions of people in it. And you know, there's a big difference to any game I've ever played in Squadrons, is that, you know, there's such a sense of community. And you know, all of the figureheads in Squadrons, you know, everyone I know, almost everyone I know streams. So you know them by name, face. It's such a nice environment to be in, and everyone, like, the average age of the people in Squadrons is a lot higher than the people you'd find in, say, COD. So, you know, with a few exceptions, you can actually have mature conversations with people.
I've been kind of saying that lately too. If this game had like a million 15-year-olds playing it, like, in the first 2 months, they would have figured out boost gasping in like 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been, yeah. They would have busted it wide open, like, way
And
faster.
all of us old boys would have, you know, we'd just be shit.
We'd be the ones complaining on Reddit, not the other way.
Yeah.
Guys, this was awesome to have you on and talk about the Cal Cup win and, you know, hear about everything for you guys. Do you want to, you know, everyone drop any, you know, if you're streaming or, you know, any links or anything for anyone to drop, please let us know. Let me know here.
Sure. I mean, I might continue to stream Squadrons on a casual basis, so you can expect to see more of me in the future. So yeah.
And yours is Night TTV.
It's Night _TTV.
There you go. Would anyone else streaming at all? Do you want to give a shout out or? Nope. Everyone's cool. All right, awesome. Guys, CA Gold, thank you so much for being on this episode. Another, you know, really cool to hear your tactics and all your thoughts about everything. I really appreciate having you guys on. I know the community appreciates that. Hey, I'm kind of bummed. I didn't realize you guys were actually retiring. I thought it was just another one of those, like, hey, I'd like to announce now that I'm like, seriously, this is everyone. Everyone was the boy who cried wolf in retirement, so I didn't know.
I'm retiring.
Guys, thank you so much for being on, and I look forward to chatting with you guys and seeing anything you do in Squadron wise or outside of it. So I will catch you guys later, and thanks everyone else for checking out the podcast.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.